Hey, good evening everyone. How are you doing? Hold on, let me get myself adjusted. Oh my goodness, right, so no, instead of me, how's the week been? Hope everyone's having a good week. If it's your first time here, welcome. This is Trust and Money TV, where I come on live on Wednesdays and I talk about money, budgeting and all of that good stuff, creating a space where we can all learn from each other and share what's working, what's not working. And what I do on the Wednesdays is, either answer a question or share a tip or something like that. If you come on live when I'm here, say hello. If you watch this on replay, comment replay as well, so I know when you see it. And also let me know when where you're watching from, where you're logging in from to watch this. So as always, let me check that we have sound and this is all working okay. All right, okay. So it's live. Yes. There's sound. We have sound. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So actually, let me try something today. See if I can share this. I can share it later. I'll go ahead and get started. So today what I wanted to talk about was I wanted to share how I do my mid-month review. Actually, I do it more than once in the middle of the month, but just how I do a review. And the hope is that you take something from this, you go away and take something that you can use for yourself. And the reason I chose to do it this week is today it is the 12th of February. So over the weekend, it's going to be the middle of the month. And so I wanted to get this out today so that if you're taking some time over the weekend, which I hope you are, to sort of look at how spending has been so far, you take some things from here that you can go ahead and use to support that review. So January, I saw so many posts during the month of January of saying, oh my goodness, this month is so long, and when is payday? So hopefully you got paid at some point about 2 weeks ago and you've been spending for a while. And so how would you review to see how it's going? So I'm going to talk through what I do. I've made some notes as normal to make sure I don't forget anything. So when I'm sitting down to do my review, like I said, I'm doing it more than that frequency because I'm obsessed. But at a minimum, I think at least doing it twice a month is a good place to start if you're serious about, knowing what's happening with your finances and really, being in charge of your spending plan. I think at a minimum, twice a month is a good place to start. So when I sit down to look at my budget, what am I starting with? So first of all, I'm logging into my bank to see what my bank balance is. I love checking it. So I'm first of all going in, what is in there? Is it as I expected? If there's anything that seems off there, if the amount is not like I expect it to be, I'll be flagging that up straight away. So I'm checking the bank balance. If you're new to this, see how you feel when you look at it. If you're someone who, I know that some of the women that I'm looking to work with, checking their bank balance is like, it's not something they like doing because of the current relationship with money. So that's the first step, getting comfortable with checking it and seeing what is in there. The next thing I'm doing at that point is scanning through the statements and looking through the expenses that are in there. Do I recognize them? Is there anything there that looks unfamiliar that I don't recognize? I will be highlighting those at that point. And sometimes you might be able to, follow up with your bank, get that refunded. So it's not just about you controlling it, it's also, if there's things like fraud, because that happens. Hello, Natalie. I know, it's so good to have you live as well. So I'm looking through the bank statements at that point and making sure I recognize everything that is in there and nothing looks off. So that's the next thing I'm doing. Once I've been through that, everything looks fine. The next thing I'm looking at is what are the upcoming payments that are coming up. So for most banks, you should be able to see a list of what are your upcoming standing orders in the next few days or weeks, and what are your direct debits due to come up. So I am looking through those to check the dates and then cross-checking that, of course, against what I have left in the bank account. That will be enough to cover them. If you have done your spending plan at the start of the month, then this should be absolutely fine because you would have planned, of course, to have enough in there. But that's the next thing I'm looking at. Now, if you've watched my videos for a while, you'll know that I am a fan of automation. I like to automate things, you know, have it set out, ready to go, standing orders, direct debits. Love them because then you don't have to think about it. It's set up, it's ready to go. The other thing I do as well, and I think it's a really good idea, is to have those payments set up to go out as soon as possible after you're paid, so that as soon as they come, they're out. I set mine for literally the day after, so that it's all gone. Those things that need to be done, so things like bills and rent and stuff like that, have that ready, going out as soon as possible after payday, so you don't have to think about it. And that's just a little tip there. But like I said, the next steps, checking what other upcoming payments are there left and do you have enough to cover them. So hopefully you've covered all of that. The next thing I'm then looking at is any amount that I've planned to save or invest for that month, which is again something that's important to do. Has that already gone out? Guessed it, I automate that as well. So that's usually already gone out by that point, but that will be the next thing that I look at. And if you think about it, it's like I heard this analogy once and I couldn't think of anything else to explain it, so I'm going to go for it anyway. So it's a bit like a seed and a farmer. The reason I was trying to look for something else because most of us don't farm anymore, but come with me here. So if a farmer, for example, you know, has a harvest, if they sell half of what they produce and eat half of what they produce and leave nothing left, the next season they're screwed because there's literally nothing left. The wise thing to do for them would be to put some aside to plant for the next season, to basically keep themselves in business. So if we think about our money like seed in that way, if you have a better analogy, feel free to let me know. You have to keep some back that you can reinvest, re-put in to you know, create more of it. So that's the next thing I'm checking that is covered. At that point, if you're looking at, because it does happen, you might have noticed that over the last 2 weeks, there's some areas that maybe you've spent more than you planned to, or some areas less. I'll be assessing those and looking at where can I tighten a bit, where can I spend more on. Assessing at that point, because at that point now I am bringing out my budget. So the first few points we've been doing, we're just looking at the bank statements at this point. So now I am comparing it against my budget. So this could be either on an app or a spreadsheet or a pen and paper, whatever is easier for you. You know, yeah, exactly, absolutely, Natalie. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's just whatever that is for you, is just starting somewhere, isn't it? So I am then comparing it against my budget. Now, I like apps because they're handy. Usually they do the calculations for you. You just need to plug in the numbers. So at that point, I am comparing what I have spent on the categories against what I plan to spend at the start of the month, the spending plan, which is essentially what a budget is, and just cross-checking those, see if there's any areas that are maybe more, maybe less, thinking about what I can do differently over the rest of the month to make that balance out. So let's see. The other thing I wanted to add to that as well, it is absolutely fine at that halfway point to make changes because it's not meant to be rigid. Yes, you don't want to go over what you have in total, but it's your plan. You can adjust it. You can make it more realistic as you're going through the month. That's absolutely fine. What I am then looking at as well, if you're anything like me, a lot of your shopping happens over the weekend. I am thinking about, okay, do I need to do like a big one again? Does it need to be a small one? That's what I'm factoring in. So whatever I've set aside for food or whatever area that is, I can make amendments at that point. And then if everything is on point, you've gone through all of this, the next thing I'm looking at is, where's my fun budget? Where's my fun at? Because I am all about, making it fun. If you've covered everything, plan to reward yourself as well. So I am putting that in. So actually next week, I've got a massage session booked because if you know me, I'm obsessed with that. Obsessed? Yeah, I really like it. Anyway, so I have that set aside as well, knowing that everything else is covered. It is absolutely fine to treat yourself. So that is generally how I work through doing a review in the middle of the month, and that's just a good way to know what's happening. You know, at the end of the month, check it again. Like I said, I check it more frequently than that because I love to know what's happening, but at the minimum, twice a month, great place to start. So I think that was everything on my list. Let me know if you do anything different as well. If you do it over the weekend and you take anything from it, if you're planning to do it, say yes. If you do it at a different time as well, absolutely fine. Let me know if you have anything that you take from there, anything you do differently, and let's share. So good to have you on, guys, and speak to you next week. I lost my train of thought there. Thank you. Bye.